It's been about 16 months since Kenya recorded her first case of COVID-19. We've been riding the wave of one spike after another, with a fourth wave predicted any time now by health experts. But yet, even with the fourth wave looming, one would be mistaken to think that we've flattened the curve, we've beaten the pandemic, that we're all clear. Look around you. Are we following the guidelines? Are they being enforced? I'll come back to that in a moment. Now, there is an attempt to vaccinate the people, up to half the population by mid-next year. But there is a lot of uncertainty around that. For example, we don't yet fully understand the efficacy of the vaccines against new variants. Neither do we know the long-term efficacy in general and whether we will need booster shots. We're not even sure of the supply to begin with. Anything can happen, as we indeed saw with the supply from India, until they had their own surge and had to withdraw global supply. While the vaccines provide some hope, we're on a wing and a prayer. However, there are some factors within our government's control and direct sphere of influence, such as the guidelines, which are quite simple, really, enforcing social distancing and wearing of masks, as well as the curfew. But moving around the city of Nairobi, for instance, after 10 p.m., tell me what you see. I know of bars in my neighborhood that remain open long after 10 p.m. How many checkpoints do we still have around the city? And of those that still remain, how effective are they really to ensure that the curfew is actually maintained? You see, we say one thing and we do another. For instance, political rallies and gatherings are banned. But are they really? You and I live in this country where we've seen your favorite politicians, and I mean all of them, from both sides of the aisle, meeting the people and gathering crowds around them. We prioritize by-elections where people line up so close to each other like we did before we ever heard the word COVID-19. The government itself holds public holiday celebrations that are supposed to be in line with the guidelines, but that seemed to have been in name only. Look at the crowds that lined the streets of Kisumu, the crowds that gathered around the leaders as they made their way to the stadium, all as if there was no such thing as COVID-19. Ironically, this was done at a time there were reports of a spike of the Delta variant there. Now, while an official link has yet to be established, is it any wonder that we had a spike in Kisumu and the 12 neighboring counties that have now been termed hotspots and slapped with some tighter restrictions? By the way, when was the last time we heard of the ongoing upgrade of our health facilities in the counties? Did we eventually get those 300 beds in each of the 47 counties? And what of the supply of oxygen that is so critical with this virus? Where are we with that? Ladies and gentlemen, we are not out of the woods yet, not by a long shot. If the numbers are anything to go by, with a positivity rate still in the double digits. In fact, I can barely remember when we last hit the magic 5%. And what of the curious late death reports that we get from the Ministry of Health every day? The reports of overwhelmed health facilities in some counties. This virus is not done with us yet, and we need to act like it. The guidelines are not suggestions. They're not just meant to tick a box by the government. They're meant to be observed and to be enforced. It is the one thing we have control over. So stay safe and stay warm, everyone.